In today's Leeds news, Benson update, Jonathan Rowe latest interest in Stengs, Leeds eye Forbs, Kebbal watched, and Hannibal interest. Morning folks, Jer here, Wednesday morning the 21st of August with your Leeds United news. There is a press conference today at 1:30. I'll timestamp this at 10:30am when it's been recorded, but there is a press conference at 1:30 where Daniel Farke is likely to come up against some tough questions around more incomings, sales of Leeds players, and where we are heading into Friday night's game at Sheffield Wednesday. There's a bit of news floating around this morning, but I will caveat every story today by saying there is lots of little links with lots of players, but a lot of them are rumours at this point. But we'll go through them anyway. We'll throw a few out, and then we will look at the rest of the players. Also, it appears we've gotten a sneak peek at Leeds United's new third kit, which we'll show you at the end of the video as well. You can check that out. Spoilers if you don't want to see it, if you want to be surprised by the launch, which is supposed to happen apparently tomorrow. But it's an interesting looking kit. It's nice, I like it. Right, let's move on and we'll start off with the updates going around the houses, and we'll start with the Manuel Benson situation from yesterday. And yesterday we heard reports that Manuel Benson and Leeds United were said to be in negotiations, or that Leeds at least were in negotiations with Burnley. Now, according to the Yorkshire Evening Post, they claim that interest from Leeds in Manuel Benson is said to be genuine. The big question that will be asked here, and that is being asked, is whether a championship club like Burnley would be willing to do business with another championship rival in Leeds United. Burnley, in this piece, are noted that they will have to offload some players from a PSR perspective before the end of the window, and Benson is a player himself who has apparently gone to the officials at Burnley and asked for a move away from the club this summer. It will all come down to fee. It will all come down to whether they want to negotiate with Leeds. He's been on the bench for their first two games this season. He would be a decent winger to bring in, but I don't see him as a calibre of replacement of what's already gone out. But I mean, I suppose if he can get assists, it'd be great, wouldn't it? Moving on to a story that I suppose at this stage is we're probably throwing out in the trash, but we'll get into it and we'll talk about the Jonathan Rowe situation. It all looked done and dusted this week with Marseille coming back in with a second offer for the player. But now, according to Sky Sports News, they claim that Leeds United have not given up interest in the midfielder, despite the fact that Marseille's second bid of a loan with an obligation to buy the player for 13 million at the end of the season hasn't been rejected, but hasn't been accepted either, but is on the table. And Stade Rennes are also said to have gotten involved in the situation as well. However, the report does say that Norwich will come to an agreement with one of those clubs, or several of those clubs, by the end of the week, and that the player then decide where he wants to go. But it would appear to me, unless Leeds are going to go in with upfront cash, that this could be a difficult deal to do. Speaking of difficult deals to do, the next two are very much rumour territory stuff and probably are just names being linked. I did say on Twitter yesterday that I'd be shocked if Leeds aren't linked with every single winger or attacking midfielder between now and the end of the window, and it seems that a lot of names are being thrown in the direction of Leeds United. And the first one comes from the Netherlands, and according to the Yorkshire Evening Post, Leeds United are said to have interest in Feyenoord winger Calvin Stengs, although this move is said to be extremely difficult to get done. The report states that Leeds did hold talks with Feyenoord, but I've been told pretty much out straight that the player himself is not available to move. Feyenoord did try to offload the player earlier this year when they tried to move him off to Charlotte FC. That didn't happen, but now the player has started the season in very strong form for them, and it looks like they want to hang on to him now. And it does look like it's very much a name just being linked with Leeds, or Leeds may have inquired about, but very unlikely to get done. Another name that came out of the Netherlands, and this one came from HITC Sports, so still in the rumour bracket with this one, and they say that Leeds have eyed a move for Ajax attacker Carlos Forbs. This is also labelled in the report from HITC as a very difficult deal for Leeds to get done. Wolves were also said to have been interested in Forbs earlier in the window, but they didn't meet Ajax's valuation. Now, that would suggest that there is a valuation there for the player should a club want him. Whether the player would look at a move to the Championship remains to be seen, and whether Leeds would be willing to put money on the table for a player like Carlos Forbs, again, remains to be seen. But Stengs and Forbs, two good players that would make a decent impact in the Championship, but both looking like they're very unlikely deals that Leeds would be able to get done. And for me, just feel like names being thrown out there at the moment. But there's a lot of noise all of a sudden come out of nowhere, which makes me feel like something's about to happen at Elland Road, but it might not be any of these names. But a name that has been linked this morning and is picking up a little bit of speed, and this one's come from Foot Mercato, and they claim according to Foot Mercato, that Leeds, along with Burnley, are watching Paris FC's Ilan Kebbal. Both clubs are labelled as having an interest in the 26-year-old attacking midfielder who can play as a 10 or a little bit deeper if need be, but primarily as a 10. Leeds and Burnley have inquired about the player according to Foot Mercato, and the player himself is said to be keen on a move away from Paris this summer. Kebbal has been labelled as a finisher and an assist giver, and was one of the best passers, or rated as one of the best passers in League 2 in France. Last season he scored 8 goals and provided 11 assists in 41 games in the league. Kebbal is labelled as one of the top 5 players in the division in France, and according to other reports that have come out from the UK this morning, they claim that Leeds have already made contact with the player's agent and discussions are ongoing around the potential move for the number 10 to Leeds United, who will be seen as a player Leeds could get if they can come to an agreement with Paris FC around the deal for the player. Ben Lockie Leeds is a fan of this kid, so that would suggest to me he's of a decent calibre. Lockie knows his stuff and spends a lot of time watching these players for the job that he does, so could be an interesting one. It is a name that appears to be picking up a little bit more speed than the other ones that have pretty much been put out there and then straight away labelled as these will be very difficult to do. Kebbal seems to be a deal that could get done should Leeds be able to come to an agreement with Paris FC. And then moving on to the last interest that popped up today before we get to the third kit leak, and this one is according to the Mail, and the Mail have a very good track record, especially since the 49ers took over at Leeds United. They've been pretty much on the money with every story they've put out. They don't put out huge amounts of stories about Leeds, but the ones they do put out, especially in the last 18 months, have all appeared to be accurate and on the money. And this one now comes out in relation to Leeds looking at a central midfielder, and according to the Mail, they claim that Leeds United are interested in Manchester United central midfielder Hannibal Mejbri. The Tunisian midfielder has struggled for game time at Manchester United and did have a loan spell at Birmingham, so has played in the Championship and would be considered a good player for the Championship, but whether he's better than what we have remains to be seen. Whether he can come into that midfield and dictate a starting position remains to be seen for me. I don't know if he's necessarily better than Joe Rothwell or even better than Ilya Groove or even better than Charlie Crew in those positions, but it is a name that has been put out there, and it's coming from a source that has been very accurate with deals around Leeds in the last year or so. And then finally today, just to get into the leaked kit, and you can see it on your screen there now, the apparent leaked Leeds United third kit for next season. A kind of a navy blue, which I don't mind, and a bit of a pinky look to it. It's a nice looking kit. There's very strong pink badge on it as well, and there's the pink 3 stripes. So let me know below though what you think of this one, and not the purple one we saw floating around. I wonder was the purple one floated, just to see what the reaction of people would be, and then based on the reaction maybe rolled it back a little bit and decided to go with a different colour scheme, but we'll have to wait and see. Nice looking kit for me. I don't mind this one at all. It would be nice to see this one showcased with a couple of new players as well, but it's supposed to be launched apparently tomorrow. We'll find out later on today, I'm sure, if that is the case. But that will be it for me today, folks. I'll be back later on this evening with the podcast. It will be a pre-record, but it will go out live between 6:30 and 7 p.m. You can keep an eye out for that. Myself, Joe Blackburn and Lockie will be on discussing the links today and discussing Daniel Farke's press conference from this afternoon, so you can check that out later on today. That's going to be it for me today, folks. Massive thanks as always, and I'll talk to you soon. Have a great day.